Do you have difficulty making ends meet at the end of the month? Well, that's a question that one group of physicians hopes all pediatricians will be asking kids and families at doctors' visits in the near future. Christina Muchler reports on a new policy from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Christina, this is because doctors are on the so-called front lines, right?
Viviana, it is. 1 in 5 kids in the U.S. lives in poverty, and the relationship between poverty and health is huge. That's why the AAP is now recommending that pediatricians assess kids for their poverty status and that each well checkup screening should begin with that very question.
I think it's something we should all embrace.
New guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics, or AAP, are recommending that pediatricians screen for poverty during routine checkups. The group suggests that doctors ask parents and families the question, do you have difficulty making ends meet at the end of the month? And it's a policy that pediatrician Dr. Francis Rogalski says is very important.
Social determinants of health really impact children.
While poverty is not a tangible medical condition, experts say it can have a major impact on children's health for a lifetime.
The AAP is really taking a stance to say, hey, let's start asking about, whether or not you live in a food desert. Do you have availability of housing? Do you have availability of heat? All those variety of things that could certainly impact the health of the child, which are things that we don't pay attention to very often. We're worried about medicines and making a diagnosis, and maybe people can't even afford to go out and get their medication.
The new recommendation suggests that after pediatricians screen for poverty, they refer families to appropriate resources and programs. But it also raises the question among medical experts, should physicians hold themselves accountable for the economic welfare of child patients?
I think the answer to that is clearly yes. It's something that has impacted all of us.
And it's something that has hit very close to home for him.
I grew up in an inner city. I'm the product of not being able to go on vacations, periodically not having food and things like that. So I know what the impact of that is.
And for many pediatricians like Dr. Rogalski, the AAP's goal of not ignoring poverty is the right thing to do.
I have used that within my own practice to query people whether or not they have the resources to provide for their own children. I do look at whether or not people are insured, and if they don't have the means to pay, I don't charge them. Why put another burden on a family, a financial burden, when they don't already have the resources? So it's something I've done for years, and something I'll continue to do.
The American Academy of Pediatrics is also urging state and federal lawmakers to expand existing housing, food, and health programs because, as the group says, poverty is the most serious and common disease that children have. Reporting live in the studio, Christina Muchler, WTOL 11.